It's time for another WrestlePlanet news update, as a popular tag team discusses why they chose AEW over WWE. CM Punk is set to appear on a podcast tonight ahead of his reported AEW debut, and AEW are said to have made yet another major signing. All that and more coming up in today's video, but first, Game Changer Wrestling has had a lot of hype surrounding them as of late, following then GCW World Champion Nick Gage's appearance on Dark Side of the Ring, as well as their viral Gage vs Matt Cardona match where the Internet Champion became the new GCW World Champion. To top it off, Gage then appeared on AEW Dynamite on TNT in the main event in a death match against Chris Jericho, which is of course great exposure for the brand. They have now signed a Japanese wrestling legend for 4 upcoming shows, as New Japan's Minoru Suzuki is making his return. Suzuki's first appearance for GCW was back in 2018, where he took on and defeated Matt Riddle at Bloodsport. He was then defeated by Josh Barnett at the same event the next year. He was then set to face Orange Cassidy at WrestleMania weekend last year, this before the pandemic closed the event down. Now that would have no doubt stole the weekend, at least on the indie side of things, as you couldn't get 2 more polar opposite in-ring styles, and it would be interesting to say the least. Either way, Suzuki is set to appear on their September 17th and 24th shows, as well as on October 10th and 23rd, although his opponents are yet to be confirmed. On the latest episode of the Grilling JR podcast, AEW announcer Jim Ross spoke of the recent growth of AEW over the past month or so. The company have made tremendous ticket sales in the Chicago and New York markets, and are close to selling out 4 Chicago shows within the space of around a month. Not only that, but they recently drew over 1 million viewers for 4 weeks straight on AEW Dynamite on TNT. JR discussed the growth AEW are having, and said that he feels they may have grown more in the past month than they ever have, and he explained, "The AEW brand has probably grown more and gained more notoriety in the last month than perhaps it has since the inception/launch. The ticket sales in Chicago, New York, these major markets where people can make decisions on doing a lot of different things are there. We're doing well, ticket sales are great. Chicago's events are going to be big time, some major attractions and all that good stuff. I'm very excited about this. The potential for some dream matches, powerhouse cards exist for real. Our roster gets stronger, that's kind of what we're looking for." He went on to reference AEW's latest deal with Warner Media, which sees them earn more money, with AEW Dynamite and Rampage moving to TBS in January, which has typically a younger skewing audience, as well as AEW airing 4 specials a year on TNT. JR added, "The Time Warner folks are flexing their muscles in support of our brand. We're always going to be in some role on TNT. These specials, which I perceive to be like Clash of Champions type thing before we move full time over to TBS for Dynamite, and then eventually Rampage as well. It's the start of a new era." If the Bryan Danielson and CM Punk reports are to be believed, which I highly think they are, this growth will only continue heading into the new year as AEW step up their game to the next level. It's going to be interesting to see how the ratings are affected post these debuts, with many thinking that they may be on par with WWE Raw within the next year or so. Following his WWE release and his appearance at Triple Mania last weekend, Ric Flair is set to appear on another pay-per-view. The Nature Boy will return home to NWA for their 73rd anniversary show, as revealed by the promotion's official Twitter account, and they said, "It was always historic, but now NWA 73 at the Chase will be legendary. The rumors are true, he's finally home. Ric Flair is coming back to the NWA and wrestling at the Chase." The tweet was accompanied by a video package of highlights from Flair's NWA days. The 16-time world champion has held many NWA-affiliated titles throughout his storied career and has always been viewed as an NWA/WCW guy. The anniversary show will be held on Sunday 29th of August from the Coruscant Ballroom at the Chase, one of the most historic venues in St. Louis. In the main event of the show, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, which Flair is so closely associated, will be on the line as Nick Aldis defends against Trevor Murdoch in a career versus title match. And quickly, just before we continue, make sure you scroll down and drop a like and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss any upcoming wrestling content as we head towards 20,000 subscribers. But now that you've done that, let's get on with the rest of the video. AEW tag team Santana and Ortiz recently appeared on the AEW Unrestricted podcast hosted by Tony Schiavone and Aubrey Edwards. On the show, the duo discussed signing with AEW back in August 2019 and revealed when they first heard about the promotion. They said that they received a text from Cody Rhodes before the company was even officially announced whilst working for Impact Wrestling. And Ortiz said, "Fun story, I was in the movie theatre. I forgot what movie I was watching and I got a text on my phone. This was after the first Jericho cruise. The text was from Cody and he was just like, 'Yo, when are your deals up?' At that point we had maybe a few months left. And he was like, 'Alright, so when it's up, this is the deal, it's real.' And this was before the company was even announced. There was that and I was like, okay, I guess the ball is rolling and let's go. The first Jericho cruise was the first time that we got to work with the Bucks, and we always like to say that that was pretty much our job interview for getting here, and it was a great match and we had a good time. Those guys are really cool, and Cody hit us up. Once our deal was over, we knew what was up." Ortiz then revealed that they had offers from both WWE and AEW on the table and spoke about why they decided to become All Elite. He added, "We had offers to go to WWE or AEW. We were on the fence initially, many other factors, but one of the swaying decisions for us was Chris specifically wanted us to be a part of the inner circle. We were like, wow, man, he's a huge, not to get so long-winded about it, part of our bonding experience." When we started to become a tag team, we both read Jericho's first book, Lion's Tale. We were like, this is the blueprint to be a wrestler. This is it right here. He was a journeyman. He wrestled everywhere. This is what we want to do. Watching guys like him, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, and we wanted to be a true journeyman, and we bonded over his first book. The tag team have been together for almost a decade at this point, working together since 2012. They have held tag team titles in multiple promotions including Impact Wrestling, House of Glory and CZW, however the more prestigious AEW World Tag Team titles still elude them. Next up, ahead of his reported AEW debut tonight at Rampage The First Dance, another CM Punk appearance has been confirmed on a popular podcast. Renee Paquette, the close friend of Punk, will be hosting the Second City Saint on her show tonight at 10 PM Eastern on her YouTube channel. This airs 5 hours before AEW Rampage. It's worth bearing in mind that the show is scheduled as a premiere, which means that it's already been recorded, therefore is not live. The description of the video reads, "It's clobbering time when Renee is joined by none other than CM Punk, and the voice of the voiceless has plenty to say about his short-lived UFC run, the fate of WWE backstage, and the most controversial questions facing the industry today. This is certainly going to be an interesting watch, and who knows what will be revealed or teased throughout. And it's also pretty cool of Punk to give Renee this interview, which will no doubt give her channel a huge boost, particularly with the timing of its release." And finally, speaking of major AEW signings, apparently a third one has been made off the back of the reported CM Punk and Daniel Bryan acquisitions. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer revealed in today's newsletter that sources close to AEW have said that another signing is coming in. And he said, "Sources close to the promotion that would be alerted to such things also noted a new major AEW acquisition is coming on the heels of the deals for CM Punk and Bryan Danielson." It's worth noting that the line was mixed in with a report regarding Ric Flair's appearance at Triple Mania, but this doesn't necessarily mean the source was referring to him. The free agents market is full of potential major signings, with the likes of Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, and even Brock Lesnar. And whilst it's unclear who the signing is, the possibilities seem endless at this point. It's unknown when this signing will be or if it's already been made, and their debut date remains a mystery. Of course, as always, we'll keep our ears to the ground. However, we do know that CM Punk is almost guaranteed to be in Chicago tonight for AEW Rampage, The First Dance, and Bryan Danielson is expected to show up next month at the Arthur Ashe Stadium in Queens, New York for the AEW Dynamite Grand Slam special. Perhaps we'll get both or all three tonight, but I guess we'll just have to see what happens. And before AEW Rampage tonight, I should have another news video out with what happened in the Renee Paquette interview, and we have some interesting notes from an interview with Tony Khan from earlier today. So hopefully you join me for that, and also of course I'll be bringing you an AEW Rampage review a bit later on tonight. And before you go, make sure you check out my video where I discuss the secret wrestling returns of CM Punk during his so-called retirement.